So in Python, we're going to start in idle. You're going to open up files. Now there's going to be videos that I created before I started the ledger process. And I apologize, I just don't feel like doing all those videos. I'd rather add new things than go back and do old things because there's tiny little technical things. So before you start any exercise, even if it's a video out there, there's going to be a starter file that's out there you're going to see. And so if you can go look, there is, you know, in this case, the basics is where I'm looking at. There's going to be a starter file. And the example here, you can see there's a place to start. Now, the ledger I'm going to delete here because that's from a previous run. But when you first see it, you're just going to see Python files. You're not going to see that file we just saw, the ledger. And probably you're going to see all of the files right here. There might be other things that come up later on. But you need to work in this structure. It's important to keep it in the structure and run from within the structure. So for example, when you go do the BMI exercise, I start from scratch. You start from this file right here. And when I double click it, it opens up in Notepad because that's the way my machine's set up. If you double click it and nothing happens, it's because you're running Python code. You probably need to right click it and open it in idle. So I don't have that set up, but if you right click it, you should get an option to say open with idle. I've got mine configured in Notepad for a variety of reasons. But I have opened it idle here. So the very first thing you want to see here is just what my print line says. Run your code before you write any code. That's absolutely essential. If you're going to start an assignment, the first thing you need to do is run the code. So that does two things. First of all, it shows me you starting with a blank file. It removes any doubt that you started with somebody else's work and you just started coding with half the thing or the whole thing done. Second of all, it starts the timer of your coding. So every time you run your code, it does a timestamp. So if I hit my button right here, we can see it says test failed. That's good. It means it ran. If you, for example, left out a semicolon here, it wouldn't have created a ledger here. If you have syntax errors, it won't actually count the time, which is why you want to run it first. You might make syntax errors. You might spend hours fixing syntax errors, but you don't get credit for it in the ledger unless you start with running your code. And then once you run your code, you can see there's the same name as the file, .lgr. So pretty much universally in this class, everything you're going to work on is going to be a single file and then that ledger file of the same name that you're going to submit. That's going to be the things that you're going to work on. And we can actually, skip forward here. Let me show you the submission process. Now, before we do that, there's another thing we have to do. We have to do a cover sheet. So this is my default cover sheet I use for testing my stuff. And this is a bad cover sheet. You shouldn't be testing here. You can have a default cover sheet where you put your name and your student ID in, but every time you are finished with an assignment, not just intermediate submissions, but you think I'm totally done. Tell me how much time you spent on this. The time should be in hours. So this is an hour and a half. I spent 90 minutes on it. If I say 1.1, I spent an hour and 6 or 66 minutes on it. If I spent 12 minutes on it, I'd say 0.2. Oh, minimum is 0.25 because I don't expect anybody's going to spend less than 15 minutes on any of these assignments legitimately. Okay, so you tell me how much time you spent. Tell me what date it is. This date has to be today or tomorrow. And if I do any other dates, it's going to fail. And you can see I did this video the end of March. And then I need you to pick a confidence from this drop-down list. Are you absolutely sure it's correct? Say so. If you know it's wrong, it's okay. I know it's wrong. I'm going to submit it. I'm just doing this. So my collaborator here is the whole class and the Mimic video. I just want to be really clear. You're all collaborating with me here, and you're all watching my Mimic video that I'm creating now, and I'm going to build it from my Mimic video, whatever. But say what it's from. Maybe you worked with some other people. Maybe you had some extra help. Maybe you went to some website. It's okay. Again, I don't need to know all the details, just the ones that show you code. And then you need to fill out at least 25 characters in each of these boxes. So I really want you, it doesn't have to be 100,000 characters. It doesn't have to be 500 characters. It just needs to be your benefit of telling the story. How did you solve this problem? If it was easy, say it was easy. Just do it in at least 25 characters. Say what you learned. This is for your benefit. These are the types of stories that you would tell during a job interview. This is the type of stories that help you remember how to solve problems in the future. And if there's anything you're not sure about, you can say that down here. Now, you don't have to say anything in the last box. The last box is optional, but you fill this in. So I'm not going to fill it all in right now. I just want you to know that I expect it to be filled all in. If you turn in cover sheets that are the same across multiple assignments, I reserve the right to reject the assignment entirely. Okay, all of them that are the same. So you need to don't wait to do this. It shouldn't take you more than 3 or 4 minutes at the end. And after you spend an hour coding, 3 or 4 minutes of doing this shouldn't hurt anything. But make sure you put it together and prepare it and submit it. So you save this. You can change the name of it. You can have one for each file, however you want to do this. But then you're going to submit it. Now, that happens in Gradescope. You need to find the right assignment. So for this assignment, it's basics, a place to start. So you're going to upload submission. Now your screen might look a little different because I'm an instructor. I'm looking at grade mode, but you should see something like this. It's going to give you the option to upload files. Now this is great because you can come through and you can go to your code and you can just drag and drop. So I select Ledger and Python file, both of them. I get a place to start, and then I can come back here, and this is actually, I have mine in my download folder, so let me grab the cover sheet, and I drag and drop that out here too. You can also add using browse files, so you can do that. I don't think you have to select your name, again, instructor view, but I upload that. And so when it uploads, you can see it sends me an email. And it's going to send you an email too to let you know it's on the way. Just because you upload, you shouldn't close this. You shouldn't walk away. You want to wait for this to come back because it's going to give you information here. If you forgot a cover sheet, it won't do anything. If you forgot the ledger, it won't do anything. If you submit the wrong files, it's going to tell you. Okay, I submitted all the correct files. And so you can see it tells me my ledger right here. My cover sheet here. It tells me the general. So that way when I grade it, I can see what's going on here. You can see it tells me the version report. So I ran this one time. You can see it tells me the exact time I ran it. And then it tells me over a 60-minute duration, I spent 0 seconds working on it because the difference between 1 and 1 is 0. And so it's important that you start it right away, because if you submit it with 0 time, your entire thing will be rejected. If you submit it with 10 seconds, your entire thing is going to be rejected. In general, less than 5 minutes probably is going to be rejected. I don't think there's any assignments that you can do that quickly. Probably less than 15 minutes is going to be rejected, just to be fair. I don't know. I'll see. I mean, if you're a speed typer and there's 100 different submissions in 15 minutes, I might let it go. But I expect that you're going to take some time encoding most of these assignments. Most of them are not, I'm not saying they're 7 hours, but they are going to take you at least 15 minutes to type in the code and test it and everything else. So this is an example of what this whole process looks like end to end. You can see in this case, I haven't passed the test, so I don't have any points from this. When it comes time to grade, I'm going to give you feedback. There's 2 places you want to look for that feedback. One of them here is right here, the feedback here. So if I leave notes, you get feedback. So let me actually grade my own submission right here so you can see what the process looks like. So when I grade this, I'll go through and I'll look at it and I'll say, oh, you didn't pass the test and you didn't ask for anything specific. So I'm just going to say auto grader failed. Well, let's just say you asked for something specific. I don't understand what's going wrong. So what I do, generally speaking, is I come to the code and I say, bless me. I say, okay, well, does this print out what is expected? All right. So I'm going to try and put some mildly cryptic note inside of here. Not because I'm trying to be cryptic, but I think if you can help find the answer, it'll be better. It's actually shown to be better for your learning. If you don't understand my cryptic note, ask. That's what Discord's for. That's what email's for. Reach out. Find me. Ask questions. I might put comments down here too, depending, but mostly I try and do them in the code to kind of point at where it's going on. So the error is going to be within these couple of lines where my comment is. So I go through, I grade this, and I'm done. But let me go real quick. Let's go back to here. And so if you want to see your feedback, click on here and you can see, oh, well, this is what the points were. If there's text, it'll show up here. Or click on your code and you can see in the code, oh, does this print what's expected? This is how you see what's going on if you're not sure. This is the slowest and most painful way for me to give and you to receive feedback. The better answer is for you to reach out and ask. I'm going to see your code one way or the other. So if it's not working, come to me and we can work back and forth. Even if you just drop your code into Discord and we send messages back and forth. Even better, set up a time we can sit down and look at it. But this is going to help you really see it. Now, we're not done with this exercise. We're going to come back here, but I want you to maybe work through this process and see it all. So try and run your code before you start your code. Figure out an initial cover sheet, submit it, see some errors that might come up. If you have any questions, we'll go on with that. But we're going to come back in a second and we're going to finish this little assignment up.